My name is Jackson, and I am one of Mrs. Thompson's former students. She can tell you about me. I'm sure you've heard of me. Right now I'm in 4th grade. Each shell here that we have tells a story. This one right here could have been there was actually once a small little animal living inside of this. It was basically just a mussel that every time it grew, it would basically be this. It was once this tiny curl, but then it grew. So this shell grew with the thing that was living inside of it. This shell was once living. Just about all of these shells were living. Were living creatures.
How were they created?
How they're created? They're actually not even called shells at all. They're called exoskeletons. An exoskeleton is basically your skeleton, but instead of being on the inside, which we do, think of like a turtle. It has an exoskeleton, just like a crab. A shell is an exoskeleton. It protects it. It's on the outside.
So how does the shell grow? Can you show us? Can you show us how? Show me the rings on that to see how it grows.
All these rings are how many times it grew. So it grew like this.
Okay.
And in this one, you can still see some of the stuff, how it's darker right there and how it's lighter and smoother right here. This stuff is really hard. That's called this is called a mantilla. Well, it was a full mantilla. It's the first really thin, weak starting shell that it had before it grew into this.
Okay, are snails born with shells?
Actually, yes. They're born with, well, not basically shells. Again, they have that mantilla. What is it?
Mantle. Mantle. M-A-N-T-L-E.
They have that mantle. It's basically this shell, but really thin. They get born really small, and as they grow into a big snail, banana snail or not, I mean not bananas. That's a banana slug. But if they grow into a big, strong snail, they will have, their shell is just like this shell. It would grow in layers, get bigger and harder every single time it grows.
And it grows big enough, and then we put it to boil, and then we eat it as? Do you remember what it's called?
I believe I remember what cooked snails are called. Escargot.
Escargot. Mm-hmm. And did you like it?
Yep, I did.
All right, Jax, you have had hermit crabs in the past. We have a whole bunch of shells and things like that. Mm-hmm. So now, how does a hermit crab work? Are they like the normal crabs with the pinchers and the legs and all that stuff?
Well, they do have a pincher, I can tell you that. One pinched me in my thumb, and I did this, and it went flying. Oh. It learned how to fly that day. But it has everything a normal crab would do, except it doesn't have a built-in shell. It has to find a shell for its size of body, and then when it grows, that shell doesn't grow with it. It will slip out of it and go find a different shell. For example, you take this shell, it could have grown a lot, and had to go into this shell, which probably happens a lot, and it does. For some reason, my hermit crabs just wouldn't change their shells. I guess they weren't ready, but that's kind of it.
Okay, Jax, tell me the difference between a seashell and a turtle shell.
Turtle shells have nerves and blood cells in their shell. So if you find a baby turtle sitting on the ground and you went to go scratch its shell, it would feel you scratching your shell, just like how I would scratch my skin. Just instead of it being nice and soft and squishy, it would be really hard.
Are turtle shells made out of calcium carbonate like these seashells?
No, they are not. No, they're not.
Do you remember what they're made out of?
I believe they're made out of the same stuff as our bones.
So, do you remember?
So it's a bone.
Yep, they're fused together, spine and
Ribs. Because if you look at a turtle, well, Mrs. Thompson, if you would pull up a turtle and show them, when you look at it face forward, you can see their skin go in. It doesn't stop. Their shell doesn't stop and their skin keeps on going. It curls to an end.
So how does a turtle shell grow?
How does a turtle shell grow? Basically, just about the same way as a normal shell. As it grows, as the turtle grows, the shell will grow with it, just like this, more than how I talked about these shells. Okay, so this time we're going to be talking about what is the difference between a seashell, also known as an exoskeleton, and a crab shell. I don't have a crab shell, but I do have a horseshoe crab shell. These and normal shells will break down in the water eventually. This one, I don't know how I got it. I think I found it. But this is a shed. This is not its shell. This is its shed. Okay, the difference is, well, these don't have any legs. These do. These have, normal crabs, not horseshoe crabs, have a protective hard layer on their outside and other squishy soft parts on the inside. These are kind of like that. These are kind of like that. These are kind of like their crab shells. Except these need something to live in them to move, which crabs don't. They come with their shells. If you remove their shell, you would have to kill the crab to get its shell off. Okay, so listen to about how shells would grow. They are obviously exoskeletons. They're made out of 3 layers. 3 layers this shell is made of. You can see 2 a little bit. You can see how it's cracked right in there. You can see 2 layers. There was a 3rd layer. I don't know where it went. It might be really thin, but it's made out of 3 layers of calcium carbonate.
What other chemical is in there?
There is also sodium. And fun fact, the ocean wouldn't be salty if shells weren't a thing. The sodium mixed with water equals really salty water. That's why the entire ocean, well, just about the entire ocean, is salty. So, for example, your friend's pool is salty. They put sodium in it.
So are you saying that the ocean and the Gulf of Mexico is salty because of broken down seashells?
Yup. Okay, so lesson 2 about how shells would grow. They are obviously exoskeletons. They're made out of 3 layers. 3 layers this shell is made of. You can see 2 a little bit. You can see how it's cracked. Right in there, you can see 2 layers. There was a 3rd layer. I don't know where it went. It might be really thin. But it's made out of 3 layers of calcium carbonate.
What other chemical is in there?
There is also sodium. And fun fact, the ocean wouldn't be salty if shells weren't a thing. The sodium mixed with water equals really salty water. That's why the entire ocean, well, just about the entire ocean, is salty. So, for example, your friend's pool is salty. They put sodium in it.
So are you saying that the ocean and the Gulf of Mexico is salty because of broken down seashells?